Well, hello again. Short talk in the truck, in the park. Sorry about that. With an old guy, and I almost never film from inside my vehicle. There's really no film involved, but I love doing this. We have so few drizzly, rainy days here in southern New Mexico that when one does come along, I'm always fascinated by this right here. If you'll just quit moving around, Mike. If you keep your eye on one area and just watch. There's always motion, and then there's stability. Like some of these drops up here, they hardly ever move. And what's with these weird sideways drops right here? They keep building up right in that area, and there's another sideways drop. So some of these are like supersized, and they're just like waiting to go. And then when they do go, they form this like runnel. It kind of forms a little pathway. They intercept other droplets on the way down. Oh boy, I find this kind of thing fascinating to observe. I don't know why. There's several other items. Now, I guess we'd wax eloquent about that if you care. It's a Tuesday morning. I got really nothing to do except watch the rain come down. And I enjoy this kind of thing. Now, if you want to, something similar maybe, come back some morning when the window's frosted, just lightly frosted, down in here, and then turn on the heater, and then watch that as the heat slowly begins to come on because the motor's cold. Watch those heat, what it does to those ice crystals. There's a transition point where it I don't know, I wouldn't say it flashes, but it's a transition point from solid to liquid, definitely. And sometimes you can catch a little glimpse of that. It's like a very interesting transition point. There's another transition point when you boil an egg. Say boil it. We'll pull it on out after it's hot, and just get in a good light and observe that sucker. Just watch the outside of the eggshell as that thin film of water begins to migrate away. And if your room is a little bit cool, you might actually see the steam outgassing coming off the egg. And you might wonder sometimes, how is it that I'm breathing water and never noticed? Water is a fascinating thing. I really don't understand water, but it's fascinating stuff. And you got to face it, with no water, you got no life. And the goons in D.C. who are not poisoning the atmosphere with tankers are messing with the rain. I was listening to a guy that in some areas the rains, when they do come down, it's acting as a surfactant. It's like adding detergent in there, and that's the stuff that the rain is infected with now, thanks to who ain't doing that work. That's right. Never happened. Never happened. All those trails, all those chemtrails overhead, they're all 100% natural. Yeah. So anyway, if you think about drops and droplets, I just enjoy looking at them. And some are stable, some are moving, some are getting fat, some are little dinky guys that just really they never do anything unless one of these runnels just happens to come crashing through. Then it hits those little guys and uses them as fuel. But it always leaves a little streak here. You see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. But when the water comes down on a clean window, and then see drops will favor that same route. They keep coming through this. It's like a little speedway's been opened in this area, and the drops know to head down that way. So it's not a big rain today. I was thinking about you got people like this, you got a world like this where on one hand everything's changing all the time. If you just keep your eyes open, you can always see motion somewhere. But what we're looking for, isn't it, is patterns. We want to see what the patterns might mean. And so we're born curious. We're trying to become interpreters, trying to understand what our world is all about. And the messages are so mixed up and confusing and frankly contradictory, even in tone, that lots of times people, they get kind of fed up and whatnot. Look at this rascal right here. What is that about? It's like a super drop. Oop, it just crapped out. Right there. Now it's back. Yeah, I like looking at that stuff. And so as things are moving around us all the time, We tend to think that we got to be kind of up to date and trendy and with it, and make sure that we're on target with what's happening now. The Church of What's Happening Now. I think Flip Wilson used to do a guy, Reverend Leroy, I think, and I think he had the Church of What's Happening Now. That's kind of 1960s. He used to have a situation TV show, if you what do you call it, situation comedy show, I think they called it. Anyway, they did skits and stuff. There might be a little bit of music in there, but not much. And he'd do a monologue, and he was a pretty entertaining young guy. But I don't know whatever happened to Flip. He kind of flipped out. He got into this Geraldine Jones thing, this feminine impersonation thing, and I think he got a little carried away. I don't know. Hope he's okay. I don't even know. I guess we could Google that. Is Flip Wilson still alive? I don't know. But somebody might do that. When you think about all the change that's happening around us in our day, basically the U.S. Constitution has been scrapped as an operating document. The powers of that be in the executive, in the judicial, and in the golly, I forgot the right name. The representative half or third of the three-legged bird called American Republicanism. The thing's just, it's crapping its guts. And so you got these lunatics and these traitors undermining really what is even a schoolboy or schoolgirl upon just a cursory reading of the Constitution would understand is deeply wrong. And like the one we were talking about this morning with the fence cutters down in Texas, given federal authority to allow those illegal, did we say illegal people in? And so basically that means that we're no longer under a constitutional law. We're no longer in a federal representative republic where we may seek grievances in court and find our day. Look what they did with the drug stuff. You can't sue Pfizer. You can't sue Merck. None of those guys. And if you do, you're going to end up suing the federal government. They got more lawyers than you do. But that's just one example. It's one of the drops that's fallen. And a whole bunch of them, they're all going downhill. And so the only one that's going uphill is you have to get on the road and drive real fast. Some of them drops will start creeping right back up and then shear off and go to the edge. And you can get forward motion, but it takes momentum and it takes a power source and an engine in this case, to make our drops go up. But in our lives, we need a new power in us because everything in us has taken us either stand still, hold, don't move, or fall some, fall some, fall some. And, that's kind of our life. That drop here took about 1.25 seconds to get by. Well, that's his lifetime. We're all going to reach the bottom of the window down there somewhere. Unless the Lord comes back, of course. So I just was sitting there thinking about things today and thought, well, I got another day off, and I do like watching the rain coming down. I could do this for hours. There's another one, in case you care. Whenever you get down to the Village Inn or wherever they have large, clear ice cubes, that's the key. Get yourself a cup of coffee and flop in 2 large, clear ice cubes. Oops. Before that, put in one of those little, those crazy little, I don't even know the serving size. It's like a spoonful of creamer stuff. They claim that it's half and half. I don't know if it ever was near a cow, but that white stuff. Put in the white stuff, put in an ice cube or 2, and then just look through the ice cube down in there. You'll see interesting things. And I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's a little bit like clouds moving real fast like if you can imagine watching cloud motion, but in fast motion. But it's all swirling around the bottom of the cube. It's like these, whatever they are. It looks like voluminous clouds. It's the milky stuff. And, they say your body's, 90% water or 60% or whatever it is. That's all, it's frankly nonsense. Your body's about 0 water, but it has a whole bunch of liquid, electrolytes and, glycines. I don't know what's in there. But in other words, the water mixes with minerals or salts or hormones or whatever you got, blood platelets. The water mixes with all that. But That's not the same as water. Yeah, water's in you, but it's funny that we don't even know half the time when we're really thirsty, or even what we're thirsty for. But we know something ain't right, and so we try anything we can. And you see people, they'll just dose up on any old thing. Doesn't matter. This stuff's floor polish. Well, let's give it a try. You remember the thing with the Tide Pods? Kids eating this stuff. What's wrong with your head? Why don't you just go snort a couple of lines of Drano afterwards? And the the world that we live in is just, I mean, I'm so out of date. I must be 15 years behind the times. There's things coming on now that I have no clue. And I can't even see the top of the drop up there yet, but they're coming. And each drop has to pass through, each thing has to happen. But the one we're searching for isn't why do drops fall, and give me a reason. No, the answer is how, if any, are any raised up? And there was one. One raindrop went up. That's the way to think about the Christian gospel for today. One raindrop went up. And from there, he's watering the whole world. He's reigning on high, if you'd like to know. This world is his world. He is jealous over it because, frankly, he built, owns, and operates it. And he owns every square inch of real estate there is, including your body and mine. And so, I mean, it's not like we have a whole bunch of claims we can stake against the guy and say, you owe me, or something like that. But we treat him so bad and ignore him and act like he really had nothing to do with any of the real news that's happening day by day, the real news. And you know what's behind the real news? Every one of them frauds and fakes and phonies and murderers, they all hate and ignore him. They all defy him. And what's going to happen, and it's already beginning somewhat, the Christian church is going to be deemed, I mean, Christian believers that believe the gospel, the Bible, you know, the 66. Right now, I found out this morning, as an example, and I guess it shouldn't have come as a huge surprise, that the federales have been under the so-called administration, you know, that squatter that's been sitting there for the last 3 years, the guy that was not elected. Anyway, they're putting Christians on watch lists, and you know what kind of dangerous Christian things there are that you could be possibly known to be doing, and they're recording it. Did you buy a Bible recently? And heaven forbid, did you buy more than one? Have you been going to sporting goods stores where they sell, you know, guns and ammos and whatnot, etc.? And they're beginning to build a database of what they're calling Christian terrorists, possibly. And the terrorist part was what? I don't seem to remember any Christian ever who still the church would say, yep, that's Christian, all right, out there saying, well, let's go blow up people in a meat market. Let's go, capture and enslave old ladies and beat them to death or whatever. Christians don't talk that way. And the terrorists, if you want to talk terror, I'll tell you what, there's a terror that's coming. It's called Yahweh, the Almighty God, and he's coming to do justice. And this fraud and this perversion shall end. So, in other words, yeah, I'm a terrorist, if you want to look at it that way. In other words, I'm telling you about the true terror, the real terror, Mr. Terror himself. He is coming, and he is pissed. I don't know how you say divine, almighty, pissed the hell off, and still not sound like a fool or a phony. But what I mean is, we don't have language strong enough in English to describe the level of rage, holy fury, indignation from on high, backed up with what you want to call all power, and all authority, all rolled up into one. You know, that same Jesus Christ that they don't want you to think about. Well, he's coming. And when he comes in justice, I tell you what, you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. You can't afford it. No human could. Now, the devils, they're toast and they know it. They're going down. But their big game plan, their keen insight for the day, was to take as many humans with them as they could, so to spit in the face of the Maker one last time. And you know what? God wins every time. He's going to save every last one of his children. He ain't going to lose one. This ain't no amateur, iffy God who kind of hopes that salvation happens if only humans would cooperate. No, he's going to make it. He rolled up his sleeve and he found not one man among them to aid him in this redemption work. And I believe that's right out of one of the prophets, something like that. So, listen up to the Spirit in you and understand that as we're passing through life, going apparently downhill all the way, you got to have a good attitude. And that good attitude is that I have a hope, and I mean a real hope. You do need hope. You need hope like you need air. We were talking about water and life. Well, you better have some water. You ain't going to live very long. You can do without it for a little while, but don't think in terms of months. You'll be dead. And so there's things we must have in order to live. And one of them things is hope, Hope. And our hope is rooted firmly, squarely, and forever solid in the person of the Nazarene. He's busted out, I tell you. He woke up from the death. He kicked his own tombstone out of the way. Boom, get out of here. He walked out. Hey, how you doing? I don't know what happened exactly, but it was glorious. And the point being, he has pledged himself on his own divine and holy integrity to deliver his children safely, and none shall be able to snatch from his hand as he executes the full plan of the Father in earth to profoundly, profusely, and forever prove true that if you take away the Godhead from away from among men, if you divorce them from their Maker, if they die spiritually, as did our parents at Eden, separated from their Father, separated from their source, separated from the light itself, can they rule themselves well? Can they build a life on integrity and truth? Answer, no and hell no. Noah's time and our time are the so to speak, the underline, the big neon sign part of that. But the experiment was a bust. We need a head. We need a leader. We need a king. And thank God he has provided all of that and more in the King who is the King of Kings. You know the one I'm talking about. So welcome him into your life today, because he's the only thing going up in all this down. But make time for yourself and find a place to pray. And just tell him what you think, and tell him about your fears or your triumphs or whatever you got going on. Tell him about why you're so confused and what makes you so angry. And try to clear the air with him. He's good. Way good. He's worth spending time with. More than anyone else. And yet we hardly even notice him. Well, I guess we got to learn somewhere. Start somewhere. Have a good day and go get yourself dry.